The red dust of Mars swirled outside the thick windows of Deep Space Monitoring Station 7. Inside, Tom Baker sat at his console, sipping coffee from his standard-issue Earth Space Command mug. His night shift had been quiet, just like every other night for the past 3 years. The station's sensors continuously scanned the outer reaches of the solar system, watching for anything unusual. The soft hum of equipment filled the room as data streams scrolled across multiple screens. Tom was about to start his hourly report when something caught his eye. A blip on the quantum scanner, far beyond the Kuiper belt. He straightened in his chair, setting down his coffee. Computer, Enhanced Grid Section K419. He commanded, his fingers flying across the holographic interface. The screen zoomed in, revealing something that made his heart skip a beat. Energy signatures, hundreds of them, clustered together where nothing should be. Tom grabbed his comm unit. Station 7 to Earth Space Command. Priority 1 alert. I'm detecting multiple unknown energy signatures in the outer system. Scale suggests artificial origin. Requesting immediate verification. Within minutes, every telescope in the solar system turned toward the coordinates. The response from Earth came quickly. Station 7, this is command. Signatures confirmed. We're seeing at least 300 distinct objects. Size and configuration suggest vessels of some kind. Putting all stations on high alert. Captain Jack Thompson was awakened by the emergency alert in his quarters on Luna Base. As head of the First Contact Division, he had trained for this moment his entire career. Within an hour, he stood in the command center, surrounded by Earth's top military and scientific leaders. The objects appeared to be ships. Dr. Anna Miller, the lead engineer, explained as she pointed to the holographic display. But here's the strange part. They're completely powered down. No engine signatures, minimal life support readings. They're just drifting. Thompson studied the readings. Any signs of hostile intent? None, Anna replied. In fact, if I didn't know better, I'd say they're stranded. The next 12 hours were a blur of activity. Earth's defense fleet moved into position while a first contact team was assembled. Thompson handpicked his crew, Dr. Miller for engineering, 2 xenobiologists, a linguistics expert, and a small security team. They boarded the ESS Frontier, Earth's most advanced first contact vessel. As they approached the mysterious fleet, the true scale became apparent. The alien ships were massive, elegant structures that dwarfed the Frontier. Their hulls shimmered with an otherworldly metal that seemed to bend light itself. Life signs confirmed, the sensor operator reported, detecting approximately 50,000 signatures. Multiple species readings, but their power levels are critical. Whatever happened to them, they're running out of time. Thompson made his decision. Begin broadcast on all frequencies, full spectrum. Universal greeting package, plus emergency assistance offer. He turned to his crew. Let's hope they're receiving something. For 20 tense minutes they waited. Then a response came. Not in words or pictures, but in a simple pattern of light flickering across the nearest ship's hull. The linguistics team worked frantically to decode it. It's a mathematical sequence, the lead linguist announced. They're accepting our help. They're asking us to hurry. Thompson nodded grimly. Initial scans showed their life support systems were failing. Whatever had stranded this fleet had left them with barely enough power to keep their people alive. These advanced ships, with all their sophisticated technology, were slowly becoming coffins for their crews. All teams, prepare for emergency response, Thompson ordered. Dr. Miller, you have 6 hours to figure out how we can help them. Humanity just became their last hope. As the Frontier moved closer to dock with the alien flagship, Thompson watched his crew spring into action. They had no idea if their technology would be compatible, if they could even communicate effectively, or if they were walking into a trap. But none of that mattered. Somewhere in those dark ships were people who needed help, and humanity had never been good at ignoring a cry for help. The real challenge was about to begin. The docking tube sealed with a soft hiss. Captain Thompson led his team through the airlock into the alien vessel, their footsteps echoing in the dimly lit corridor. Emergency lights cast a pale blue glow across surfaces that seemed to shift color as they moved. "Atmosphere is breathable," Dr. Miller reported, checking her handheld scanner. "Temperature at 15 degrees Celsius. Power levels critically low throughout the ship." They didn't have to wait long for their hosts. A tall figure emerged from the shadows, moving with careful grace despite obvious exhaustion. The alien stood nearly 7 feet tall, with silvery skin that reflected the emergency lights. What caught Thompson's attention most was how human-like their eyes were filled with both hope and worry. "Welcome," the alien spoke, their words translated through the universal translator, with only a slight delay. "I am Admiral Blue of the Stellar Concordat. We are grateful for your response." Thompson stepped forward. "Captain Jack Thompson, Earth Space Command. We're here to help." The alien commander led them to what appeared to be a command center. Dozens of crew members worked at stations powered by emergency batteries, their movements slow to conserve energy. Through the massive viewport, Thompson could see the rest of the fleet stretching into the darkness. "We are a peaceful exploration and colonization fleet," Admiral Blue explained, bringing up a holographic display that flickered weakly. "Our people, 50,000 civilians, including many families, were searching for new worlds to settle. We tested an experimental quantum drive system, but something went wrong. The drive malfunction cascaded through our power grid, burning out our main systems." Dr. Miller studied the alien technology with growing concern. "Your backup systems, incompatible with our remaining power sources," Blue replied. "We've been running on emergency cells for 3 months, rationing power to critical systems only. We have perhaps 72 of your Earth hours before life support fails completely." Thompson watched as his engineer's face grew pale. "Dr. Miller, their technology, it's incredibly advanced, but it's all integrated. They need specific types of energy to power their systems. Our standard power sources wouldn't be compatible without major modifications." She paused, running calculations on her tablet. "And we don't have 72 hours. Once the life support systems start failing, we'll lose ships one by one." The gravity of the situation settled over the room. 50,000 lives hanging in the balance. Thompson turned to Admiral Blue. "Tell us everything about your power systems. Every detail might help." For the next hour, human and alien engineers huddled together, sharing technical specifications and possible solutions. Most of the Concordat's advanced technology was useless without power, like having the most sophisticated computer in the world with no way to turn it on. "There's something else you should know," Blue said quietly to Thompson. "We're not just a colonial fleet. We carry our civilization's library, the collected knowledge and cultural heritage of 12 worlds. If we lose power completely," Thompson understood, "they weren't just saving lives. They were saving the history and knowledge of multiple civilizations." Back on the frontier, Thompson called an emergency meeting with his team. "Options. Their technology is beyond us in many ways," Dr. Miller said, "but that's actually part of the problem. Their systems are too advanced, too specialized. They never considered using simpler alternatives because they haven't needed to for centuries." "What do you mean?" Thompson asked. Miller's eyes lit up with an idea. "They've evolved past using certain technologies we still rely on. Their systems are so advanced that they're incompatible with basic power sources. But maybe that's our advantage. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one." She pulled up a diagram of Earth's oldest space power source. "What if we could adapt our nuclear reactors to power their ships? It's primitive by their standards, but it's reliable. We just need to figure out how to make the connections work." Thompson looked at the countdown timer showing the fleet's remaining life support capacity. They had less than 60 hours now. How long would it take to save everyone? Miller did some quick calculations. "Even if it works, we'll be cutting it very close." Thompson stood up. "Get everyone you need. We're not letting those people die out here. He turned to his communication officer. Send word to Earth. We need every available reactor and engineer they can send us. Now. The race against time had begun. The next 12 hours on the alien flagship were a blur of activity. Dr. Miller worked with engineer Tom Baker and a team of Earth's best engineers, their tools spread across the alien engine room floor. Around them, Concordat engineers watched with a mixture of curiosity and doubt. It's like trying to power a quantum computer with a steam engine, Baker said, studying the alien power connections. He held up one of their damaged power cores, a crystal-like structure that seemed to pulse with internal light. Their technology doesn't just use energy, it shapes it. Miller nodded, her hands deep in the guts of a human nuclear converter they'd brought aboard. Then we'll have to shape it their way. Look at these patterns. She pointed to the crystalline structures. They're not random. The energy flows through specific paths. Earth had rushed every available nuclear power unit to their location. The cargo bay of the Frontier was packed with reactors, cables, and conversion equipment. It wasn't elegant, but it might work if they could solve the connection problem. Baker picked up a piece of the alien technology. You know what this reminds me of? Those old radio crystals, the ones that could turn random energy into clear signals. Miller's eyes lit up. Tom, you're a genius. We don't need to match their power type exactly. We just need to give it a form their systems can read. She turned to the nearest Concordat engineer. Can you show us your emergency power routing systems again? The alien engineer, who had introduced himself as Root, moved closer. He had been skeptical at first, but desperation had turned to genuine interest as he watched the humans work. Our emergency systems are more basic than our main power grid, he explained, bringing up a holographic diagram. They were designed to accept multiple power sources, though none as fundamental as yours. Miller studied the diagram intensely. That's it. We can use your emergency systems as a conversion point. The nuclear power goes in raw, your emergency systems shape it, and then it feeds into your main grid. But the energy requirements are massive. Root objected. Your power sources seem so limited. Baker grinned. Maybe. But we can link them together. What we lack in elegance, we make up for in numbers. The next few hours were a frenzy of activity. Human engineers worked alongside Concordat technicians, building a complex web of power converters. They adapted Earth's nuclear reactors, linking them in parallel to create a stable power supply. The aliens' emergency systems, designed to be more flexible than their main power grid, would act as a translator between the two technologies. Captain Thompson walked into the engine room just as they were ready to test their creation. The setup looked like something from Earth's industrial age. Nuclear reactors connected to alien technology with a maze of cables and converters. But sometimes the most effective solutions weren't the prettiest ones. Ready? Miller asked, her hand on the main power switch. Thompson looked at Admiral Blue, who nodded. Proceed. The nuclear reactors hummed to life. Energy flowed through the conversion system, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, lights began to flicker on throughout the ship. Systems that had been dormant for months began to power up. It's working, Root exclaimed, checking his monitors. Power levels at 30%, 40%, holding steady at 45%. It's not full power, but it's more than enough to maintain life support and critical systems. The engine room erupted in cheers, human and alien voices mixing together in celebration. They had done it. The primitive technology of Earth had found a way to power one of the most advanced ships in the galaxy. Get those reactors distributed to the rest of the fleet, Thompson ordered. Priority to ships with the lowest life support reserves. As teams began preparing to move their makeshift power systems to other ships, Miller noticed something interesting. The Concordat engineers were taking detailed notes, studying the human equipment with new respect. Their primitive solution had taught these advanced beings something valuable. Sometimes, the simplest answer was the best one. They had 55 hours left to save the rest of the fleet. But now, they knew it was possible. Human ingenuity had found a way. The space between the massive alien ships buzzed with activity. Small Earth shuttles darted between vessels, carrying nuclear reactors and teams of engineers. Each ship in the Concordat fleet needed its own power system, and time was running out. Tom Baker piloted his shuttle toward one of the largest ships in the fleet. The vessel's emergency lights flickered weakly, showing how close it was to complete power failure. Behind him, a reactor and 3 engineers waited with their equipment. "This is Transport 7, he called into his radio. "Approaching civilian carrier, Section 9. Life support at 18% and falling." Just then, his shuttle's warning systems blared. A massive solar flare erupted from the distant sun, sending waves of radiation toward the fleet. "All units, take cover." Captain Thompson's voice crackled over the comm. "Solar storm approaching." Baker quickly steered his shuttle into the nearest ship's docking bay. Other rescue craft scattered, seeking shelter wherever they could find it. The radiation would delay their work by precious hours. Inside the flagship's command center, Thompson and Admiral Blue watched the storm's progress on their screens. "How many ships have we powered up so far?" Thompson asked. 43, Blue replied. "But over 200 remain on critical power. The storm will cost us at least 6 hours." Dr. Miller rushed into the command center, her face showing both exhaustion and determination. "Captain, I have an idea. The Concordat ship's hulls. They're designed to channel energy, right?" Blue nodded. "Yes, but without main power, the radiation shielding is minimal." "What if we use the storm itself?" Miller's eyes were bright with inspiration. "We can't go out there to install the reactors, but we can prepare the ships to capture the solar energy. It won't be much, but it might buy us extra time." Thompson turned to Blue. "Can it work?" The alien admiral studied the storm data. "Perhaps. We'd need to reconfigure the hull polarization on all remaining ships. But without power." "We use the ships we've already powered up," Miller interrupted. "They can transmit emergency power in a chain, just enough to polarize the hulls. We can't save everyone this way, but we can keep them alive until the storm passes." Thompson made his decision. Do it. The next hours were intense. Human and alien engineers worked together, using their powered ships to create a network of energy channels. As the storm hit, the massive alien vessels began to glow with captured solar energy. It wasn't pretty, and it wasn't permanent, but it worked. When the storm finally passed, they had lost no ships. But now they had to work even faster. "Transport 7, you're clear to proceed." Thompson's voice came through Baker's comm. The engineer guided his shuttle out of the docking bay, determined to make up for lost time. The rescue teams adopted a new strategy. Instead of going ship by ship, they created zones. Each powered vessel would help maintain life support for nearby ships until reactors could be installed. Human engineers taught Concordat crews how to adapt and install the power systems themselves, multiplying their workforce. Inside one of the civilian ships, Baker worked with a Concordat family to install a reactor. Their child watched in fascination as the human technology brought their home back to life. "The lights are pretty again," the young alien said as systems powered up. Baker smiled, remembering why they were working so hard. This wasn't just about saving lives. It was about saving families, saving a civilization. On the flagship, Miller monitored the fleet's status. 100 ships powered up, she reported. 143 to go. She checked the time. They had 29 hours left before the most critical ships would fail. Thompson looked at the tired but determined faces around him, human and alien working side by side. "We're not stopping until every ship is powered," he declared. "Not one life lost. Not one ship left behind." The race continued, but now they had momentum on their side. Humanity's determination, combined with Concordat cooperation, was proving to be an unstoppable force. As power returned to more ships in the Concordat fleet, something unexpected began to happen. What had started as an emergency rescue operation was turning into the first real cultural exchange between humans and the stellar Concordat. In the makeshift dining hall of the flagship, Tom Baker sat with a group of Concordat engineers, sharing a meal of both human and alien foods. The aliens were particularly fascinated by something as simple as coffee. "You mean this drink helps you work longer hours?" Engineer Root asked, carefully sipping from a steel mug. His silver skin shifted color slightly as he tasted it. "Fascinating. And it comes from a plant." "Just wait until they try chocolate," Dr. Miller said with a smile as she joined them. She laid out her tablet showing the latest fleet status. "We've got 200 ships powered up now. The remaining 43 are all stable with shared power from their neighbors." The Concordat engineers studied the human technology with growing interest. What they had first seen as primitive was revealing itself to be remarkably practical. Their own advanced systems, while powerful, had become so complex that simple solutions were often overlooked. "Your nuclear reactors," Root said, pointing to a diagram. "They're not elegant like our quantum cores, but they're incredibly reliable. We haven't used radioactive power in centuries. We thought we were beyond it, but look how it saved us." Captain Thompson and Admiral Blue walked through the dining hall, deep in conversation. The two leaders had developed a strong working relationship over the past days. "Your people's determination is remarkable," Blue said, watching the mixed groups of humans and aliens working together. "When we first lost power, we sent distress signals to dozens of advanced civilizations. They all said rescue was impossible. But humans, you didn't even hesitate." Thompson shook his head. "We couldn't just leave you out here. It's not our way." In another part of the ship, a group of human engineers was getting a lesson in quantum mechanics from Concordat scientists. The aliens had offered to share some of their theoretical knowledge as a thank you for the rescue. "So the quantum drive doesn't just move through space," one of the human scientists said, his eyes wide with understanding. "It shifts probability itself." The Concordat scientist nodded, her skin glowing with pleasure at their enthusiasm. "Yes, but as we learned, such advanced technology has its risks. Your more robust systems have shown us the value of having reliable backups." Dr. Miller found herself in the fleet's main library, now powered up enough to access basic functions. The collected knowledge of 12 civilizations surrounded her in crystalline data storage devices. A Concordat historian was showing her their records of first contact with other species. "We've met many advanced civilizations," the historian explained, "but none quite like humans. You're young as a spacefaring species, yet you tackle problems in ways we'd never consider. It's refreshing." Miller smiled. "Sometimes being new means we haven't learned what's impossible yet." Back in engineering, Baker was teaching a group of Concordat technicians how to maintain the nuclear reactors. In return, they were showing him the basics of their quantum engineering. "It's not just about power generation," Baker realized as he studied their systems. "Your whole approach to technology is different. You shape energy like we shape metal. And you shape metal in ways we've forgotten were possible," Root replied. "Perhaps both approaches have value." Thompson stood at a viewport, watching Earth ships and Concordat vessels moving in a coordinated dance as they continued their work. Just days ago, these two civilizations hadn't known each other existed. Now they were learning that their differences made them stronger together. A junior officer approached him with a report. "Sir, the Concordat ships are requesting permission to upload their technical database to our systems. They want to share their knowledge of quantum mechanics." Thompson smiled. What had started as a rescue mission was becoming something much more important. The beginning of a friendship between two very different but complementary civilizations. With all ships now powered by Earth's nuclear reactors, the combined human-alien engineering teams turned their attention to the bigger problem: fixing the Concordat's quantum drive system. The massive engine room of the flagship buzzed with activity as engineers from both species worked together. Dr. Miller stood before a holographic display of the quantum drive, her tired eyes studying the complex system. Next to her, Engineer Root pointed to the damaged sections. The main problem wasn't just power loss, Root explained. The drive malfunction created quantum instabilities throughout our fleet. Even with power restored, we can't risk activating the drives again without solving this. Baker joined them, carrying a modified nuclear control rod. What if we're thinking about this wrong? He said. We've been trying to fix their advanced technology with our basic systems. But what if we combine both approaches? Miller's eyes lit up with understanding. The nuclear reactors don't just provide power. They're incredibly stable. Their radiation patterns are predictable, consistent, and could act as a quantum stabilizer. Root finished, his skin glowing with excitement. We could use your nuclear technology to create a baseline pattern for our quantum field. The next few hours were a flurry of calculations and tests. Human nuclear engineers worked alongside Concordat quantum physicists, creating something entirely new. They modified several nuclear reactors, adjusting them to produce specific radiation patterns that would help stabilize the quantum fields. Captain Thompson and Admiral Blue watched from an observation platform as the teams worked. It's amazing, Blue said. In all our years of advancement, we never thought to look backward for solutions. We always assumed newer meant better. Sometimes the old ways work best, Thompson replied. Or in this case, maybe old and new together work better than either alone. The engineering team had set up a test area in a sealed chamber. Inside, a miniature version of their hybrid system hummed quietly. Miller checked the readings on her tablet. The quantum field is stabilizing, she announced. The nuclear radiation is actually helping to pattern the quantum fluctuations. It's like using an old metronome to help tune a quantum orchestra. Baker laughed at her comparison. Simple but effective, just like most human solutions. Root was already working on scaling up the design. We'll need to modify the reactors on all ships, he said, but we can do it without powering down. The designs we've been using for life support can be adapted. Engineers from both species began moving through the fleet, upgrading the emergency nuclear reactors into quantum stabilization units. The work was delicate but methodical. Ships that had been dark and silent just days ago were now coming fully alive, their systems harmonizing in ways their designers had never imagined. In the flagship's command center, Miller and Root presented their final report to Thompson and Blue. The hybrid system is actually more stable than our original quantum drive, Root explained, showing comparative data. The human nuclear technology provides a foundation that makes our quantum systems more reliable. And we've learned more about quantum mechanics in the past few days than we might have in years of normal study, Miller added. This partnership has benefited both our species. Thompson turned to Blue. How soon can you test the drive? We've already begun preliminary tests on our smallest vessels, Blue replied. The results are better than we hoped. The quantum fields are holding stable. We can begin full fleet tests within hours. As if to emphasize his point, one of the smaller Concordat ships gracefully moved out of formation. Its hull shimmered as the hybrid drive engaged. Instead of the violent quantum reactions that had stranded them, the ship slipped smoothly into quantum space and back. Cheers erupted throughout the flagship. Human nuclear science and alien quantum technology had created something greater than either civilization had possessed alone. What had started as a desperate rescue mission had turned into one of the greatest technological leaps forward for both species. Thompson looked out at the fleet, now fully powered and nearly ready to move again. I guess sometimes you have to go backward to move forward. No, Blue corrected him. Sometimes you just need to find the right partners to move forward with. 3 days later, the massive Concordat fleet hovered at the edge of Earth's solar system. All ships were fully powered, their hybrid drives humming with stable energy. On the flagship's main observation deck, humans and aliens gathered for a farewell ceremony. Captain Thompson stood beside Admiral Blue, watching Earth's sun glowing in the distance. The deck was crowded with engineers, scientists, and crew members from both species who had worked together during the crisis. The stellar Concordat, has existed for over 1,000 years. Blue addressed the gathering, his voice carrying across the silent room. In all that time, we've never added a new member to our alliance. Until today. Dr. Miller and Tom Baker exchanged surprised looks as Blue continued. Humanity proved something remarkable to us, the Admiral said. You showed us that true advancement isn't just about having the newest technology. It's about keeping wisdom from the past while reaching for the future. Your people's ingenuity, determination, and compassion make you ideal candidates for the Concordat. Thompson stepped forward to accept a crystal sphere from Blue, the formal invitation to join the alliance. The sphere glowed with swirling patterns of light, containing the complete database of Concordat knowledge. We're honored, Thompson replied. But I think we both know this is just the beginning of what our species can learn from each other. Root approached Baker and Miller, his silver skin shimmering with emotion. We've established the first joint engineering academy on your moon, he said. Half of our engineers have volunteered to stay and teach, while learning from your scientists in return. And 20 Earth ships will join your fleet, Miller added with a smile, to study your quantum technology and share our practical approaches. She patted the nuclear reactor control panel nearby. Sometimes the best solutions are the ones that bring old and new together. The ceremony continued as both sides exchanged gifts and made plans for future cooperation. But the most significant change was already visible in the way humans and aliens moved among each other, not as different species, but as fellow explorers and innovators. Baker found himself looking out at the fleet. Every ship now carried a piece of human technology, modified and improved through alien knowledge, and Earth's ships would soon carry Concordat quantum systems, made stable through human nuclear science. You know what I'll remember most? He said to Miller. Not the technical breakthroughs or the quantum physics. It's how everyone worked together when it mattered. No one cared about who was more advanced or who knew more. We just solved problems, one step at a time. The time for departure came. Human crews returned to their ships, except for those chosen to join the Concordat fleet. As the aliens prepared to leave, Admiral Blue had one last conversation with Thompson. Your history shows countless stories of humans helping each other in crisis, Blue said. Ships changing course to rescue strangers at sea. People running into danger to save others. We didn't understand that spirit until we experienced it ourselves. Thompson nodded. It's who we are. We might not be the most advanced species, but we never leave anyone behind if we can help it. That's exactly why the galaxy needs humanity, Blue replied. Technology can be invented. Knowledge can be discovered. But compassion, determination, and the drive to help others, those are rare qualities indeed. The farewell ceremony ended with a spectacular display. As the Concordat fleet prepared to depart, each ship activated its hybrid drive. The quantum fields, now stabilized by human technology, created waves of shimmering light across space. Earth's ships formed an honor guard as the massive fleet began to move. One by one, the alien ships slipped into quantum space, their hulls glowing with the combined power of human and alien science. The flagship was last to leave. As it prepared to jump, Admiral Blue sent a final message. Until next time, friends, the stars are brighter with humanity among them. The flagship vanished in a flash of quantum light, leaking behind a changed solar system. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger galaxy, not through conquest or superior technology, but through the simple act of helping those in need. Earth would never be the same, and neither would the galaxy.